Confucius once said, "Learning without thinking is useless. Thinking without learning is dangerous." This timeless wisdom carries within it a message that is as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago, because it speaks directly to the very foundation of how human beings grow, evolve, and make sense of the world around them. If we stop for a moment and truly reflect on these words, we begin to see that Confucius is not merely speaking about education in the narrow sense of memorizing facts, but about the art of living itself. He is warning us about imbalance, about the danger of leaning too far into one side of our nature while neglecting the other. Imagine a person who spends years in school, collecting degrees, memorizing theories, reading countless books, and yet never pauses to ask why or how these ideas connect to real life. This is the learner who does not think. They may possess an enormous amount of information, but without reflection, without applying reason, without questioning. That knowledge lies dormant like water locked in a well that no one drinks from. It looks impressive from the outside, but it nourishes no one. Confucius reminds us that such learning is ultimately useless, because knowledge without reflection is like a lamp left unlit in a dark room. It has the potential to shine, but in its current state, it leaves us blind. Now, consider the opposite extreme. There are those who love to think, to analyze, to speculate about the meaning of life, to form opinions on every subject under the sunday. They debate, they argue, they craft grand theories, but they do so without a foundation of learning. Their thinking is unmoored, drifting without anchor in the vast sea of ideas. This, Confucius tells us, is not only ineffective, it is dangerous. Why? Because thought without learning can lead to arrogance, to error, to the illusion of wisdom. It is like building a house on sand. No matter how beautiful the design, it will collapse at the first sign of pressure. In society, this manifests as misinformation, as reckless leadership, as decisions made on the basis of ego rather than truth. Thinking without learning misguides not only the thinker, but everyone influenced by them. The brilliance of Confucius's teaching lies in the harmony he points us toward. Learning and thinking are not enemies, they are companions. One breathes life into the other. When we learn, we gather raw materials, facts, insights, experiences. But it is thinking that shapes those materials into wisdom. And when we think, we test and refine those ideas against reality. But it is learning that provides the grounding to ensure our thoughts are not mere fantasy. Together they form a cycle, a rhythm, a balance that allows us to grow not just in knowledge, but in wisdom, in judgment, in character. In the modern world, where information is overflowing and opinions are everywhere, Confucius's words strike like a guiding light. Today we live in an age where you can learn almost anything with a few clicks. The world's libraries, lectures, and wisdom are at our fingertips. But does this abundance make us wise? Not necessarily, because if we consume knowledge passively, if we scroll endlessly, if we memorize without questioning, we fall into the first trap, learning without thinking. Our minds become storage spaces rather than engines of growth. We must ask ourselves, are we merely collecting knowledge to impress others, or are we using it to change ourselves and the world around us? On the other hand, the digital age also empowers everyone to have a voice, to share their thoughts with the world instantly. This is a beautiful opportunity, but also a dangerous one, for too many opinions float free of knowledge, untethered by study, research, or wisdom. We see arguments built on emotion rather than evidence, decisions shaped by pride rather than truth. This is the second trap, thinking without learning. And the consequences can be seen everywhere in social conflict, in poor decisions, in the spread of falsehoods. So what is the way forward? It is to hold both learning and thinking as sacred companions. When you read a book, do not stop at the last page. Pause and ask yourself, what does this mean for me? How does this connect with what I already know? How can I apply it? That is thinking. And when you find yourself caught in deep reflection, imagining solutions, dreaming of possibilities, ask yourself, what do I need to study? What can I learn to strengthen these ideas? That is learning. Together, they keep us balanced, grounded, and moving forward. Confucius's words are not only about the pursuit of knowledge, they are about the pursuit of a meaningful life. For what is the purpose of learning, if not to live better, to serve others, to grow in wisdom and compassion? And what is the purpose of thinking, if not to shape a vision, to create, to contribute to the greater good? When we unite learning and thinking, we become more than students, we become creators of